The sun burned bright over the alien market, casting long shadows across the rows of cages and stalls. Merchants shouted loudly, trying to sell strange creatures from different worlds. Chains rattled, claws scraped iron bars, and the smell of dust and fear filled the air. People moved from stall to stall, curious but cautious. Some laughed, some bargained, and some only stared in horror at the dangerous beings locked away. But at one cage, the noise of the market suddenly stopped. A sharp cry echoed above the crowd, and everyone turned to see what had happened. The alien girl had bitten the merchant's finger. The man screamed, dropping his basket, blood running down his hand. His face twisted in rage as he stumbled back, cursing the creature inside the cage. She crouched in the corner, chains heavy. Around her wrists and ankles, her glowing eyes fixed on him like a wild beast ready to strike again. The crowd gasped. Then laughter broke out. She bit him. One man shouted, "Worthless animal." Another woman sneered, "Would dare buy her," someone whispered. The merchant's face turned red with shame. He waved his bleeding hand and shouted at the crowd, "This one is untamable. She is nothing but a savage. She bites, she scratches, she kills. Who would waste their coins on such filth?" Yet as he shouted, people kept watching her. The alien girl was small, but her strength was clear. Her skin shimmered faintly under the light, not like human skin, but something softer, almost glowing. Her hair fell wild around her face, and her teeth, sharp like an animal's, still shone with the merchant's blood. The merchant slammed his fist against the cage. "I will sell her cheap. Yes, cheap. But you will regret it the moment you touch her." The alien girl hissed at him, tugging at her chains, pulling so hard the iron links groaned under the pressure. The crowd stepped back. Even in chains, she looked dangerous, too dangerous to control. Children peeked from behind their mothers' skirts. Men whispered to each other. Some women shook their heads. No one wanted to go near her cage. And yet, in the middle of the crowd, one human stood still. He did not laugh. He did not whisper. He only watched. His eyes followed her movements carefully. He saw the way she pulled at the chains, not only with rage but with desperation. He noticed her sharp breath, the trembling of her thin arms, the fire in her glowing eyes. He saw more than the crowd could see. The merchant spotted him and barked, "You there? Yes, you human. Don't even think about it. She will bite you like she bit me. She will tear your throat out while you sleep." The crowd laughed again, but the human did not move. His calm gaze stayed fixed on the girl inside the cage. The alien girl noticed, her eyes burning with anger, locked onto his. For a moment, the world around them seemed to fade. The noise of the market dulled, and only the sound of her heavy breathing and his steady heartbeat seemed to remain. She expected him to flinch, to look away like everyone else. But he did. Instead, he stepped closer. The crowd murmured. "Is he insane?" One woman whispered. "He'll lose his hand," another hissed. The human knelt near the bars, his face calm, his voice quiet but strong. "Why are you in chains?" The alien girl's lips curled back, showing her teeth again. She growled, pulling at her chains, ready to strike. The merchant laughed cruelly. "You see? She does not understand your words. She understands only pain. That is why she is worthless." But the human's eyes never left hers. His voice was soft, steady, almost gentle. "You're not worthless." The girl froze. Her growl faded into silence. The crowd frowned, confused. Why was he speaking to her? Like that? Why was he wasting words on a beast? The merchant waved his bleeding hand, annoyed. "Bah! You're wasting your time, human. Walk away before she rips your face off." But the human did not walk away. He stood again, his hand moving toward his pouch. The sound of clinking coins filled the air. The crowd gasped. The merchant's eyes widened. You want to buy her?" The human did not answer. His gaze was still locked on the girl, who watched him with a mix of suspicion and confusion. For the first time since she had been thrown in that cage, someone was not laughing at her, not cursing her, not hitting her. Someone was looking at her as if she was more than a wild animal. The merchant smirked, trying to hide his relief. "Fine. Take her. She will be your curse. She will bite you. claw you, bleed you dry. But if you want to throw your gold away, who am I to stop you? He snatched the pouch from the human's hand, still grumbling as he wrapped his bleeding finger in cloth. The human turned back to the cage. The alien girl hissed, her body tense, her glowing eyes watching him closely. She could not understand why he had done this. She had been chained, mocked, beaten, and feared by all, yet this strange human had chosen her. The lock clinked as it turned. The iron door creaked open. The crowd leaned forward, holding their breath. Would she lunge for his throat? Would she bite him the way she bit the merchant? Would this foolish human meet his end right here in front? Of them all? The alien girl crouched low, her muscles ready to strike. The chains rattled against the dirt floor. The crowd whispered, waiting for the blood to spill. And then she moved. The human did not flinch. His hand reached out, calm and steady, as if daring her to bite. Her glowing eyes widened. Her sharp teeth bared, her chest rising and falling with heavy breath. The world seemed to hang in silence, waiting to see what choice she would make. Would she attack him more? Would something far more? The cage door creaked open, and the crowd pushed forward, eager to see blood. Whispers and laughter filled the air, everyone waiting for the foolish human to be torn apart. No one believed the alien girl could be touched, let alone tamed. Alien girl crouched low, her chains rattling against the ground. Her glowing eyes never left the human. Her lips pulled back to reveal sharp teeth, ready to bite again. The merchant smirked, holding his wounded hand close. Certain the human would soon regret his decision, but the human did not draw back. He stepped inside the cage. Gasps filled the marketplace. He's insane, someone muttered. She'll kill him. The alien girl hissed, jerking her chains, her body shaking with rage. She had been treated as a beast for so long, and now another human dared to enter her prison. Her mind screamed at her to attack, to bite, to drive him back like she had with all the others. Yet this one did not flinch. He did not carry a whip, a stick, or even a blade. His hands were empty, open, calm. His steps were slow, steady, almost respectful. He walked as if she were not a monster but something more. The alien girl lunged. The crowd shouted, certain his throat was gone. Chains clinked as she threw herself forward with all her strength, teeth bared, claws reaching. But the human stopped. Just out of reach, her chains jerked her back, slamming her onto the ground. Dust rose, and her snarl filled the air. The crowd laughed again. See, Untamable, the merchant shouted. She'll never be more than a wild beast. But the human only knelt, just beyond her reach. His eyes met hers, calm as ever.
Didn't
Move away. He didn't show fear. You're not a beast, he said softly. The alien girl froze. His words were meaningless to her, yet his tone, his steady voice, made her hesitate. No one had ever spoken to her like that. No one had ever lowered their voice. No one had ever knelt near her without raising a hand to strike. She panted, her chest rising and falling fast, her glowing eyes locked on his. She didn't understand why she hadn't already torn him apart. Something in his gaze stopped her, something she couldn't explain. The human reached into a small pouch at his side. The crowd tensed, expecting a weapon. But instead, he pulled out a piece of bread, simple, soft, and fresh. He broke it in half and placed one piece on the ground between them. The alien girl blinked. She had never been offered food this way. Food was usually thrown at her like trash, or forced into her hands with chains pulling tight around her throat. This was different. He placed it near her, then slowly ate the other half himself, showing her it was safe. Her eyes narrowed. She didn't move. The bread lay between them, untouched. The merchant laughed cruelly. Worthless gesture. She will never eat from your hand, human. She would rather starve than bow to you. But the human did not listen. He stayed still, eating his share, waiting. The alien girl's stomach growled. Hunger gnawed at her. Shh. Hadn't eaten since the morning, and even then, it had been scraps. Her pride battled with her need. Her glowing eyes flicked from the bread to his calm face. Finally, she moved. Chains clinked as her hands shot forward. She snatched the bread, retreating instantly to the far corner of the cage. Her teeth sank into it, tearing it apart as if she expected it to vanish. The crowd gasped. The merchant's face twisted with shock. "Impossible," he whispered. The human said nothing. He only watched as she devoured the bread, his eyes steady, almost gentle. When she finished, she looked back at him. For a moment, their eyes locked again. Something shifted deep inside her, a confusion, a question she could not speak. Why was this one different? Why had he not struck her, cursed her, mocked her? Why had he fed her? The human slowly stood. Dusting his hands, he turned toward the merchant. "She comes with me now." The merchant sneered, but could not argue. The gold was already in his hand, and the girl had already taken food from the human. Something about that unsettled him. Chains clinked again as the human reached for her bindings. The crowd leaned forward, certain he would lose his fingers. The alien girl stiffened, her body tense. She could feel his hands on the iron working. The lock. No one had ever undone her chains before, not without pain following. But his touch was steady, careful, not cruel. The lock clicked, and the iron fell away from her wrists. She rubbed her raw skin, still glaring at him, unsure what this meant. The human offered his hand. The crowd held its breath. The alien girl's glowing eyes studied him. Her sharp teeth glistened, ready to strike if needed. Chest rose and fell. Her heart pounding in her ears. Every part of her screamed to attack, to resist, to stay untamable. Yet she did not move. Her hand hovered above his, trembling, uncertain. The human's eyes remained calm. "Come." The crowd murmured in disbelief. Slowly, painfully, as if it cost her more strength than breaking chains, the alien girl reached forward. Her fingers brushed his hand for the first time. The crowd erupted in gasps and shouts. The merchant dropped his cloth, his bleeding hand forgotten. The alien girl had not bitten him, she had touched him. The human's grip was firm but gentle as he led her out of the cage. The marketplace split open as people stepped back, fear and disbelief in their eyes. The untamable girl was walking beside a human. The merchant's voice trembled as he whispered, "What are you?" The human did not answer, only kept walking, the alien girl at his side, her chains trailing behind her. But her glowing eyes were no longer filled with pure rage. Something else had entered them now, a spark of confusion, curiosity, and the smallest hint of something dangerous. Not fear, not hate. Something new, and it was... The marketplace had never been so silent. People stared as the human led the alien girl out of her cage, her chains dragging softly against the dusty ground. For years she had been seen as nothing but a dangerous beast, a curse that no one wanted. Now, she walked beside a stranger who had dared to touch her without fear. Whispers spread through the crowd. "He must be mad," one man muttered. "She will rip him apart the moment they are alone," a woman hissed. Another spat. The merchant stood frozen, his wounded finger wrapped in blood-stained cloth, his face pale with disbelief. He had thought no one would ever waste gold on the alien girl, yet this human had placed a heavy pouch into his hands without hesitation. The coins clinked like laughter, mocking the merchant's warnings. He shouted after the human, desperate. "To save his pride, she will kill you before the night ends. She is cursed, untamable, poison to anyone who dares touch her." But the human did not stop. His steady steps carried him forward, the girl walking close behind. The alien girl did not understand what was happening. Her chains still bound her ankles, forcing her to stumble as she followed. Her glowing eyes narrowed at the crowd, her teeth flashing at anyone who dared step too close. Yet she kept glancing at the human, unsure why she hadn't attacked him. Yet something in him unsettled, her a strange calm that cut through her anger. The crowd parted as they passed. No one wanted to be near her. Mothers pulled their children away, merchants guarded their stalls, and men gripped their weapons tightly. The girl hissed at them, and they quickly stepped back, afraid of what she might do even in chains. When they reached the edge of the market, the human stopped. He turned to face the merchant once more. His voice was calm, but his words carried weight. "She is mine now. She will not return to your cage." The merchant's jaw tightened. He wanted to laugh, to mock this human for his foolishness. Something in the man's eyes silenced him. For the first time since he had captured the alien girl, the merchant felt a flicker of doubt. Perhaps this stranger was not like the others. Still, pride forced him to shout one last warning. "Mark my words, human, she will break you. May have bought her, but you will never control her. She will bite you, claw you, and when she does, remember my words." The human did not reply. He only turned his back and walked away. The alien girl followed, her steps heavy, her chains clinking behind her. They left the noise of the market behind and entered the quieter streets beyond. The human led her through winding alleys and narrow paths, away from the eyes of the crowd. The alien girl studied him as they walked. His stride was steady, his face unreadable. He did not look at her with fear, did not speak to her with anger. He simply guided her forward, as if this was the most natural thing in the world. Her mind swirled with confusion.
Why had he bought her? Why had he not struck her when she lunged? Why had he given her food instead of pain? Oh, no one had ever treated
her like this before. Every other hand that had touched her had brought chains, whips, or fire. Yet his hand had been calm, his eyes steady, his words strange but soft. The humans stopped when they reached a small abandoned courtyard. Weeds grew between broken stones, and the walls around them were cracked and faded. It was quiet here, far from the noise of the market. He turned to her and unlocked the chain from her ankles. The metal clattered to the ground. The alien girl rubbed at her raw skin, blinking in shock. Never had someone freed her without expecting something in return. Her glowing eyes locked onto his. Her teeth bared slightly, her body tense. Was this a trick? The human sat on a broken stone wall, unarmed, calm as ever. He spoke softly. "You are free now. But if you wish to stay, you will stay with me." The alien girl hissed, stepping back, unsure what he meant. Free? The word meant nothing to her. All she had ever known were cages and chains. She paced in circles, her eyes never leaving him. She wanted to run, to escape, to disappear into the wild streets. But her legs trembled. Hunger still gnawed at her, and the memory of his bread lingered. In her mind, she hated herself for it, but she could not ignore it. The human pulled a flask from his side and placed it on the ground between them, just as he had done with the bread. Then he leaned back, giving her space, his eyes calm. The girl's glowing gaze darted to the flask. Her throat ached with thirst. Slowly, carefully, she approached, snatched it, and stepped back. She drank quickly, water running down her chin. The human did not move. He only watched her. When she finished, she threw the flask back at his feet, her teeth flashing as if to remind him she was no pet. But deep inside, something small stirred a dangerous feeling she did not want to name. For the first time in her life, she had taken food and drink from another without being beaten for it. For the first time, someone had spoken to her like she was more than an animal. She hated it. She feared it. But she could not stop thinking about it. The human stood again, brushing the dust from his hands. His eyes met hers, steady and unshaken. "You will come with me," he said simply. The alien girl hissed again, her chains rattling as she stepped back. Yet her feet did not turn to run. Her glowing eyes followed him as he walked toward the gate. Her chest rose and fell with sharp breaths, her mind screaming to attack, to bite, to prove the merchant right. But she didn't. Instead, after a long, tense moment, she took a slow step forward, then another, until at last she was walking behind him once more, her chains dragging softly against the stones. The merchant had been wrong. She had not broken him, at least not yet. But the question hung heavy in the air. Who had The human's camp was quiet, far away from the noisy marketplace. It was a small place, built from stone and wood, with a fire pit glowing in the center. The smell of smoke hung in the air, and the night wind carried the sound of insects and rustling leaves. The alien girl stood just inside the camp, her chains dragging against the dirt. Her glowing eyes darted from one shadow to another. She hated this silence. She hated this strange calm. For so long she had only known the chaos of cages, the shouting of merchants, the sting of whips. Here, There was nothing to fight except him. The human moved slowly, as if he already knew her mind. He set down a small pot near the fire, pouring water into it. The flames hissed as they touched the metal. He didn't look at her, didn't try to tie her down. He didn't even hold a weapon. This made her restless, her teeth bared, her claws tapped against the ground. She pulled at the chain still hanging from her wrists, her muscles tense. She wanted to strike him, to tear at him, to show she was not some weak thing to be bought. He finally looked up, his eyes calm as always. "You are hungry," she hissed in reply. She did not understand his words, but she understood his tone. It was not a command, not an order. It was a statement, soft, steady, almost gentle. The human stirred the pot, adding dried meat and roots. The scent filled the air, rich and warm. The alien girl's stomach growled, betraying her. She snarled at the sound, angry at her own weakness. The human did not laugh. He did not mock her. He only placed a bowl near the fire and stepped back. "Eat," he said. Her glowing eyes flicked to the bowl. The smell made her chest ache with hunger, but suspicion burned stronger. Not she had been fed before, but always with cruelty. Sometimes the food had been spoiled. Sometimes it had been bait for a beating. She stepped closer, then stopped, her claws flexing. The human stayed still. He did not push the bowl closer, did not move his hand toward her. He only waited. The girl's body trembled with conflict. Hunger battled with pride. Fear battled with fury. Finally, she lunged forward not for the food, but for him. Chains rattled as she leaped, her sharp teeth flashing, claws ready to cut. The human did not raise his arms to block her, did not scramble away, stood firm, steady as if daring her to strike. Her claws stopped inches from his chest, her glowing eyes locked with his calm ones. For a moment she froze. Her heart pounded so loudly she could hear nothing else. Her jaws trembled, but they did not close on his skin. Why? Why couldn't she? Do it. With a sharp snarl, she shoved herself back, landing near the fire. The bowl rattled, spilling some of its contents. She crouched low, her breath ragged, her chains dragging against the dirt. The human's voice was calm. "If you wish to fight, then fight. But I will not hurt you." His words burned in her mind even though she didn't understand them fully. His tone was clear. He was not afraid. He would not strike her. This confused her more than chains ever had. Her glowing eyes narrowed. He reached for the bowl, grabbed a handful of food, and shoved it into her mouth. The taste surprised her. It was not spoiled, not rotten, but real, warm, filling. She ate quickly, as if someone might snatch it away. The human sat down across the fire, watching her without moving. He did not smile, but his steady gaze held something strange. It wasn't mockery, it wasn't anger, it was patience. She hated it. When the food was gone, she threw the bowl at his feet, hissing again. Her body shook with rage and confusion. Why was he treating her this way? Why wasn't he fighting back? Why did he look at her like she was something more than a beast? Pulled at her chains again, snarling, daring him to bind her tighter. But he only picked up the bowl, placed it aside, and said nothing. The fire crackled between them. The alien girl curled into the corner of the camp, her back against the wooden post, her glowing eyes fixed on him. She refused to close her eyes, even as her body grew weak with exhaustion. She stayed awake, waiting for the strike that never came. Hours passed. The fire burned low. The human lay back on the ground, staring at the stars, his breathing calm and steady. He slept without fear. The alien girl could not understand. Did he trust her? Did he know she could kill him in his sleep? Her claws dug into the dirt. She crept closer, silent, her chains sliding behind her. She hovered over him, her glowing eyes watching his throat, her teeth ready. One bite, and he would never rise again. Her jaw opened, then stopped. His face was calm, even in sleep. No fear, no tension. As if he trusted her completely. Her chest tightened. For the first time in her life, she felt something she didn't. No hesitation. She growled softly, frustrated with herself. With a sharp motion, she turned away, curling back into her corner. She pulled her knees to her chest, her glowing eyes burning in the darkness. She hated him. She feared him. And yet, deep inside, she felt something worse. She was beginning to wonder if she needed him. The night passed with silence. But the fire between them burned in more ways than one. And by dawn, the first clash between them had not ended in blood, but in something far. The morning sun rose over the camp, painting the sky in shades of gold and red. Smoke curled from the last embers of the fire. Birds called from the trees, filling the air with their cries. It was a calm morning, but inside the camp, the silence was heavy. The alien girl sat curled in her corner, her glowing eyes half closed, her body weak with hunger. She had eaten last night, yes, but it had not been enough. Her pride kept her from asking for more. Pride was all she had ever known. If she begged, she would be no better than the chained creature the merchant had mocked. But her stomach twisted, sharp with pain. Her throat burned with thirst. She wanted to move, to stand tall, to bare her teeth with strength, but her body betrayed her. Her legs trembled. Her hands shook. She hated this weakness more than the chains that had once bound her. The human was already awake. He knelt by the fire, cooking again, his movements calm and steady. He glanced at her now and then, but said nothing. His silence felt heavier than any chain. She snarled weakly, trying to hide the truth. But he already knew. He placed another bowl on the ground, just as he had before. The smell reached her nose warm, rich, tempting. Her claws dug into the dirt. She wanted to leap for it, but her pride screamed against it. Her glowing eyes burned with anger as she glared at him. Why was he doing this? Why wasn't he mocking her like the others had? Why did he feed her without asking anything in return? It made no sense. She looked away, her body tense. But her stomach growled again, loud enough to echo. In the quiet camp, the human didn't laugh. He didn't smirk. He only pushed the bowl a little closer to her side and stepped back. The girl trembled. Her pride said no, but her hunger said yes. Slowly, cautiously, she reached out. Her fingers brushed the edge of the bowl. She snatched it back quickly, retreating into her corner as if she had been caught in a crime. She turned her back on him and ate in silence, each bite quick and sharp. Tears stung her eyes, though she didn't understand why. She hated him for making her feel weak. She hated herself more for giving in. When the bowl was empty, she pushed it away and curled back into herself, her glowing eyes hidden beneath her hair. She wanted to believe nothing had changed, but deep inside, something had. The human didn't move closer. He didn't speak. He only cleaned the bowl and placed it aside. The silence stretched. Her body finally relaxed, too tired to fight. For the first time since leaving the cage, she allowed herself to lie down fully. Her breathing slowed, her eyelids grew heavy, and, without meaning to, she drifted into sleep. She dreamed of chains, iron biting her skin, merchants laughing, whips cracking in the air. She dreamed of blood and pain, of her teeth sinking into cruel hands. She dreamed of endless nights in cages, her cries unheard. Then the dream shifted. She saw calm eyes, steady hands, a voice that spoke softly instead of shouting. She saw food placed before her, water offered without a strike to follow. She saw freedom's strange, confusing freedom. Her body jerked awake, her chest rising and falling fast. Sweat covered her skin. For a moment she thought she was still in a cage. But no, the sun was high now, the camp quiet, and the human was sitting nearby, repairing something with rope and wood, his face calm as always. She narrowed her eyes. He had not touched her while she slept. He had not bound her again. He had left her in peace. Why? Her pride screamed that this was a trick, a trap, a lie. But her heart whispered something different, something dangerous. Maybe he wasn't like the others. She hated that thought. She wanted to rip it from her mind, but it lingered, strong as chains once were. Later, as the sun began to set, her hunger returned. The human placed food near the fire again. She hissed, but her steps carried her forward. She ate quickly, her hands shaking. The human watched her silently, then spoke for the first time since morning. You are stronger than they said. She didn't understand the words, but his voice carried something she had never heard before. Respect it. Startled her. No one had ever spoken to her with respect. She froze, food still in her hand, her glowing eyes wide. The human didn't push. He only leaned back, giving her space. Something inside her cracked. A wall she had built, a wall of rage and hate, shook under the weight of his calmness. She felt it breaking piece by piece. Her claws dug into the dirt again. She wanted to strike him, to remind herself she was untamable. But her arms refused to move. Her chest tightened, her throat burned. She realized the truth she feared most. She didn't want to strike him, not anymore. That night, as the fire burned low, the alien girl sat closer to the flames than before. She kept her distance from him, but her body was no longer pressed against the farthest wall. Her glowing eyes flicked toward him again and again, confused, restless, and unsure. For the first time in her life, she felt something unfamiliar: safety, and it terrified her. More than change. The days passed slowly in the humans' camp. Each sunrise brought the same silence, the same fire, the same bowls of food placed between them. At first, the alien girl refused to come near. She hissed, snarled, and curled into her corner. But hunger always pulled her forward. Every time, the human waited. He never forced her. He never raised his hand. He only placed the food near the fire and stepped back, letting her choose. The girl hated it. She hated the choice because it made her feel weak, yet her hands always reached out. Her lips always touched the food. And each time, the wall inside her heart cracked a little more. One morning, the human tried something different. Instead of placing the food on the ground, he held it out in his hand. The alien girl's glowing eyes widened. Her claws flexed, and her teeth showed. She hissed sharply, warning him to move back. But he didn't. His hand stayed steady, holding the bread. Between them, the crowd in the market had mocked her, beaten her, cursed her. But this man, this strange, calm human, stood firm. His hand trembled only slightly, but his eyes never left hers. The girl growled, her body shaking with rage. Every part of her screamed to bite him, to end this game. But her stomach twisted again, hunger burning through her anger. Slowly, she leaned forward. Her sharp teeth hovered close to his fingers. One snap, and he would bleed. But instead, she snatched the bread carefully, her claws brushing against his skin. She retreated fast, retreating to her corner to eat. Human smiled faintly, but he said nothing. Each day after, he tried again. Each time, her hesitation grew shorter. She still bared her teeth, still hissed, still pulled back, but she took the food. Until one evening, something unexpected happened. The human held out the bread as usual. The alien girl stepped forward, ready to snatch it. But when her glowing eyes met his, she stopped. He wasn't just feeding her. He was waiting for trust. Her hands trembled as she reached out more slowly this time. Her claws brushed his palm. She felt the warmth of his skin, the strange softness of his human hand. For a moment, she forgot to breathe. She took the bread, carefully, her eyes never leaving his. Then she stepped back, chewing in silence. The human's voice was low, steady. Good. She didn't understand the word, but the tone settled deep inside her. For the first time, she felt something dangerous: approval. The next day, he tried teaching her words. He pointed at the fire. Fire. The alien girl frowned, her glowing eyes narrowing. She hissed softly, confused. He repeated, pointing again. Fire. She tilted her head, curious despite herself. Finally, she growled a sound that almost matched his word. The human nodded. Yes. She blinked, startled. He wasn't mocking her. He was teaching her. No one had ever done that. Soon he pointed at other things. Water, bread, sky. Her voice was rough, broken, but she copied his sounds. Each time he nodded, his calm eyes filled with patience. She hated how it made her feel. She hated the warmth in her chest each time he said yes. And yet, she wanted to hear it again. At night, she stayed closer to the fire. She no longer pressed herself into the corner. She no longer waited for him to strike while she slept. Her glowing eyes still watched him, but her body was less tense. One evening, as the flames burned low, she laughed. It was sharp, sudden, almost animal-like. But it was laughter all the same. She had been trying to copy one of his words and failed. The sound slipped out before she could stop it. She froze, shocked by herself. She hadn't laughed since before the chains, before the cage, before the cage, before the endless nights of pain. The human didn't laugh at her. He smiled softly and said the word again, patient as ever. Her chest ached with something she couldn't name, but peace never lasted long. One afternoon, as the sun dipped low, shadows moved. Beyond the camp, the alien girl's ears twitched. She hissed, standing tall, her chains rattling. The human turned quickly, his eyes narrowing. From the trees, figures stepped out, merchants, guards, men carrying whips and blades. The merchant from the market stood among them, his bandaged fingers still stained with anger. His voice was sharp and cruel. I warned you, human. She is mine, and I will take her back. The alien girl's chest rose and fell fast. Rage burned in her glowing eyes. She remembered the cage, the whips, the laughter. She remembered the pain. The human stepped in front of her, unarmed but firm. The merchant sneered. Move aside, you cannot tame her. She belongs in chains, not beside a fool like you. The alien girl snarled, her teeth flashing, her claws ready. But this time, her rage was not aimed at the human. It was aimed at the ones who had once called her worthless. For the first time, she understood the truth. She had been a beast in chains, a monster in the eyes of the world. But here, with this human, she had learned fire, water, bread. She had learned laughter. She would not go back. Her glowing eyes burned bright as she stepped beside the human. Her body tense, ready to fight not against him, but for him. The merchant's smile faded. His guards shifted nervously. The once untamable girl was no longer their beast. She had chosen. The camp stood frozen as the merchants and guards surrounded the fire. Chains rattled in their hands, blades glimmered in the fading sunlight, and cruel laughter filled the air. The alien girl's glowing eyes locked on them, her teeth bared. In a sharp snarl, the merchant stepped forward, his bandaged hand raised. His voice rang with arrogance. You had your chance, human. She is mine. I captured her, I chained her, and I will take her back now. Step aside before she tears you apart. The human stood firm. He had no sword, no shield, no chains, only his steady gaze and his calm voice. She belongs to no one. The guards laughed. No one but death, one shouted, raising his whip. The alien girl hissed, her body trembling with fury. Her claws scraped the dirt as she moved closer to the human's side. For the first time, she wasn't snarling at him, she was snarling for him. The merchant's eyes narrowed. You think she is tamed? You think she is loyal to you? Watch, human. Watch as she turns on you like she turned on me. He nodded too. The guards. They advanced, chains ready to throw around her neck. The alien girl's chest rose and fell fast. Her mind raced. She remembered the cage, the endless nights of hunger, the laughter of merchants as they mocked her. She remembered. Pain, blood, chains burning into her skin. But then she remembered bread shared by the fire. She remembered water given without force. She remembered words, fire, sky, water spoken patiently, as if she were more than a beast. She remembered the human's calm eyes, steady even when her teeth hovered close. She remembered trust, a roar, tore from her throat. She lunged not at the human, but at the guards. Chains clattered as her claws slashed through the air, her teeth snapping inches from their faces. The guards stumbled back, their whips falling uselessly to the ground. Fear spread across their eyes. The merchant shouted in disbelief. No, she is mine. She is untamable. Attack him, not them. But she didn't. She planted herself in front of the human, her glowing eyes blazing like fire. Her stance was clear. She was not their beast anymore. The guards hesitated.
Oh.
None dared step forward. The memory of her bite, her strength, her fury, was too much. The merchant's face twisted in rage, grabbed a chain himself, swinging it forward. "You will obey me," he roared. The chain whipped through the air butt before it struck. The human caught it in his hand. His eyes met the merchant's, calm and steady. "She is not yours." The alien girl snarled and lunged again, her claws slashing the chain. From his grip, she stood over him, teeth flashing, daring him to move. The merchant fell back, scrambling in the dirt, his eyes wide with fear. She was supposed to be nothing. She was supposed to be worthless. The human's voice was strong. She was never worthless. You were simply too blind to see it. The merchant crawled back, shouting at his men, but they were already retreating. None of them wanted to face her. They had seen enough. One by one, they vanished into the trees, leaving the merchant behind, broken and bleeding. The alien girl stood tall, her chest heaving, her glowing eyes blazing with pride. She turned slowly to face the human. He looked back at her, his face calm as ever, but his voice was softer now. "You chose." She tilted her head, confused. She didn't understand his words fully, but she understood his meaning. She had made a choice. For the first time in her life, she had chosen not to fight against someone but to fight for them. Her claws lowered, lips closed. Slowly, carefully, she stepped closer to him. Her glowing eyes softened, the fire in them shifting into something else, something fragile, something dangerous. The human did not move. He let her come close, her chains dragging softly behind her. She stopped in front of him, her breath heavy. Then, with a sound that startled even herself, she bent her head slightly. Not in submission, not in defeat, but in respect. The human reached out, his hand brushing against her arm.
Oh.
She did not pull away. She did not hiss. She let him touch her. The night air grew quiet again. The fire crackled softly between them. The first time, she felt something she had never known before: freedom. Not because chains had been broken, but because she had chosen where she belonged. She was untamable to the world. But to him, she was something else entirely. The human's eyes lifted to the stars, then back to her. His voice was calm, steady, unshaken. Together, her glowing eyes met his, and for the first time, she did not feel rage. She felt safe. The untamable alien girl had finally made her choice. She was his not as a prisoner, not as a beast, but as something far greater, and together they would face whatever